Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
Refusing in Aliya. You're in shul, and Baruch Hashem, as many people would like, you were called up for an Aliyah, but you're not exactly in the mood. You're shy, you're embarrassed, there's a halachic reason that you don't want to go up. Is a person allowed to refuse an Aliyah? Is it your choice, or once the Gabbai calls you, it's a done deal, there's no discussions anymore, no negotiations, according to halacha you must go up? So that is our question, what is indeed the halacha? So we have a statement in the Gemara in Brachas 55a, which states that one who is offered to read from the Torah and refuses to read it, his days are shortened. Mekatzer layamav, a very severe curse, writes the Gemara, for one who refuses an Aliyah. And the reason for this is, explains the Gemara, as the Torah is chayenu, the Torah is our life. And one who refuses to get an Aliyah to the Torah, to read the Torah, to get life, then Hashem too shortens his life. Now this Talmudic statement is recorded in many of the Poskim, in the Magen Avram chapter 53, halacha 22, the Pri Chadash, the Aliya Rabbah, the Pri Megadim, the Aruch HaShulchan, Mishnah Brura, and other Achreinim and Peiskei Dereinu. However, interestingly, it is omitted from the classical codifiers, including the Rambam, the Tur, the Mechaber, and the Ramah. All of them omit this Talmudic statement, which clearly they were aware of. And the obvious question is, why did they do such a thing? Why do they choose not to tell people this halach? The Aliya Rabbah, after bringing this Gemara in Brachas, states an interesting explanation, saying that they held that this halach is obsolete, is no longer applicable, as it only applied in times when the oila, the person going up, was the person also reading from the Torah. That's how aliyahs used to be. You got called up, you read your aliyah. There wasn't a set balkeire. Every oila was the balkeire for his section. But now that this has changed, all you're being called up to do is say some blessings. You're not being called up to read. And if so, by you refusing, it's not an affrontation to the Torah. You're not refusing life because you weren't called up to read anyways. You were called up just to say the brachas. Back then, when you would have to read and you refused to read, then the Talmudic warning applied. Nonetheless, while this is an approach brought in the Aliya Rabbah, the majority of Achreinim negate it and hold that this Talmudic warning applies even today. Those implied from the Magen Avram, the Pri Megadim, and the Machzis HaShekel so explicitly rule the Torah's Chaim Sefer, the Aruch HaShulchan, and others. And the reason is due to the fact that when one is called up for an Aliyah, it's as if he himself is reading for the Torah, even though he's not the actual Balkeiri. And therefore, the same warning applies. Practically, every individual should be stringent in this, and if they are called up for an Aliyah, they should not take it lightly, and they should not refuse it chas v'shalom due to the severe warning of the Talmud. Nonetheless, we have various cases in which we may extend a leniency and allow the person to refuse the Aliyah. We will now discuss what are these cases. Case number 1 is brought in the Machzis HaShekel regarding that you are allowed to leave the shul prior to being called up. So let's say you know they plan on calling you for shishi, and you don't want to get an Aliyah for whatever reason. You're allowed to walk out of shul between the Aliyahs, and thus avoid getting the Aliyah as you weren't yet called up. Furthermore, case 2 says the Chidah in the Sefer Chaim Sha'ol 113. If you were not yet called up by name, the Gabbai went over to you, quietly asked, would you like an Aliyah? You said no. That's not a problem. He didn't call you up yet. Or he goes up to you and you says, what's your name for an Aliyah? So long as it's done discreetly, then you're allowed to refuse. And the Isra only applies when he says, Ya Ameid, and he says your name, and everyone hears it, and then you say no. Or he points at you, and everyone sees he's pointing at you, and you say no. When no one knows what's going on, it's between you and the Gabbai, then there is no problem at all in refusing to get an Aliyah for whatever reason you see fit. The Chidah there explains that in fact it's for this reason that Sfardim are accustomed in all Sephardi communities not to call up the Oila by his name. They just go up. If you ever notice in a Sephardi shul, they just go up to the Torah. No one's called by a name. And the reason is because they don't want to enter people into the challenge of maybe they'll refuse it and then Chas v'Shalom be included in the Talmudic warning of a shortened life. So they circumvent the issue to begin with and don't call anyone up by name, and people that want to refuse can refuse because no one knows. Furthermore, adds the Ben Ish Chai in a Sefer Torah Lishma in Tshuva 95 and 428 that even if you were already called up by name in public, and everyone knows that you should be going up for an Aliyah, if you have a justifiable reason to refuse it, you are allowed to, and you're not included in the Talmudic warning that we mentioned. And explains the Ben Ish Chai, the reason for this is because the entire warning is due to a person who's belittling the Torah. It's nothing in his eyes. He can refuse going up. But if it's important in your eyes and you're not going up for a side reason, which is justifiable, then it's not a belittling of the Torah, and obviously the warning and curse of the Talmud does not apply. What are such examples of such cases? So one of them, as mentioned by the Torah Lishma, is if there's a halachic problem with getting an Aliyah, such as the father or brother of this individual received the previous Aliyah, and now they by mistake called him. The halach is that due to ayin hara, we don't get back-to-backs, relative Aliyahs, father, son, brother, etc. He's allowed to refuse due to that reason. Or, if he knows he has a very sore voice, he's not feeling well, he can't say the brachas out loud, and 10 people won't be able to hear his blessings. Or we can add another reason, based on what's explained in other poskim, that if a person is a Baal Keri and he's accustomed to be stringent not to say any brachas until he tivels in a mikveh, then here too he's allowed to refuse it for that reason. Another case example mentions the Ben Ish Chai there is regarding if he's ashamed to get the Aliyah, such as they always make the Oilers give a nice big fat donation, and he's a pauper, he has no money. He's going to be publicly shamed, he's allowed to refuse the Aliyah in order not to be shamed. So too, if he doesn't know how to say the brachas properly, or he has a stutter or other speech impairment, he's allowed to refuse the Aliyah in order not to embarrass himself. Likewise, if he needs to use the bathroom very badly and cannot wait, he's allowed to refuse the Aliyah. And certainly, if getting this Aliyah can cause machlekes, he's allowed to refuse it and have it go to someone else. Nonetheless, the Tzitz Eliezer in his tshuva points out that in general, one shouldn't try to come up with these valid excuses and entertain them, but should push himself to get the Aliyah and overcome the embarrassment and shame if he was already called up. But technically, if push comes to shove, he's allowed to refuse if he desires due to the above valid reasons. Regarding if one was called up for maftir, and he does not know how to read the Haftarah, and may he refuse it, so it's recorded in the Levushei Surah 138 that he may not refuse it due to that reason. It is not considered valid, as he can go up and say the brachas and simply have someone else read the Haftarah instead of him, as is commonly done in many shuls.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.